Greetings, fellow pilgrims of the satellite love. I finally got Netflix. I know. It's about damn time. But more importantly, I finally caught up with the MST3k revival. A lot of fans have been asking, what do I think about it? Since, it's one of the bigger inspirations to me. And, it's solid. I'll give it that. I'll give it just right up front. I'll tell you that it's a solid experience. It was very enjoyable, very interesting. A lot to unpack here. First of all, I want to say that the comedy's fine. I mean, comedy is subjective, but the jokes all stay within the line of what you would expect from MST3k. It's just riffing over the movie.
I come to you because my faithful robot...
Meat Morp.
It's more in line with, how can I put this? When the original series first came on, it was a bit slow. Joel kind of portrayed a bit of a dry humor, and then it kind of evolved into more of the wackier barbs and the fast-pacedness.
Trumpy, you can do stupid things.
And then, of course, you have the Mike era, which is the sci-fi era, really, which is kind of like my personal favorite. Maybe that's just because that was my first experience with it. I would have to say that this new series kind of more or less falls in line with that series, even though they brought back the experiment exchange.
Okay, don't bore us. Get to the chorus. You're drying the turkey out.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
One thing that people haven't been talking about it, or it's kind of just been underplayed when people do talk about it, is I'm surprised of all the technical achievements they've been able to pull off. Bits and props have always been a huge part of MST3k, going all the way back to the original years, because, the experiment exchange and whatnot. And that's carried over even when that wasn't a part of the show. They had like goofy props and models and neat things like that. With this new season, they're able to do way more because, hey, technology has just gotten better. And they're able to have a puppet of Tom Serbo fly around the screen. He's able to float into the screen. He doesn't need to be carried into the theater anymore. Crow will periodically pop up from his seat and jump around the theater, do different things with, of course, forced perspective. And that's cool. I always liked that. They did that a few times. They haven't been able to do it as much with this scope. And it's very exciting. And you can totally tell that it's two different puppets. Like they composite shot. I don't think it's CGI. I think it's all puppetry. But they're able to composite when Tom jumps out of his seat and flies around and then lands back down. You can tell that that's two different things. Crow will actually jump down into the seat. It'll be a different puppet, one that's rigged for motion. And then when he's done doing his little shtick, he will pop back down and they will pop him back up. You can tell that where the seams are, but it's wonderful nonetheless.
You want to hang out after work? Maybe, possibly. All right, well, good talk.
One weird thing is Gypsy's now in the show. Sorta, kinda. She will periodically drop down from the ceiling. Oh, by the way, she hangs down now. She's not a snake anymore. Well, she is, but she's not a traditional snake. She's more like Kaa from the Jungle Book. She hangs down now. But anyway, about at the beginning of every movie, she will drop down a box, riff a little bit.
Rip Torn is Doctor Strange.
And pop back up and then get back to work around the satellite love. And then she will pop back down, say something witty, pick up the mystery box, and then leave towards the end of the movie. I'm impressed with the scale of the effects and the craftsmanship and the props this season. Like there's one about the Bigfoot episode, and they've got like this little thing with the mountain, and it's all cut out and it's exquisite. That one's going in someone's house after that's done, I can tell you that much. I'm impressed with what they're able to pull off now that they have, I guess the Kickstarter was a sizable amount. And they've got more money. They got a bigger staff, obviously, from the opening and the production.
Yeah, and we're good. We're good.
like I said, it's very nice that they are able to do that and pull all this stuff off. And like I said, technology's gotten better, so they can do that. But also, it's just very... I'm very appreciative of all those earlier episodes where it was like, you know, the sci-fi and the Joel era, where they were able to take very little with a very small staff. I think when you look at the credits for those old episodes, it's like a fraction of what they have now, and I'm very like impressed about what they were able to do at each step. Joel with the creation of the series and doing all those weird and wacky props like the infamous big drumming set. And just even going to the Nelson era with just what they were able to pull off and the set designs and stuff like that.
Oh, wow. I see a beach ball and a string and a pulley, and then there's Gypsy. Hey, Gypsy! Hey, Mike. Sorry. That's all right.
The technical achievement of the new series, it warms my heart to see that happening, but it also makes me appreciate the earlier episodes and what they were able to pull off.
I love you, Tom Servo.
I love you, Joel.
I love you, Crow.
You're not my real father.
Let's see, what else can I say? Patton Oswalt, of course. I was very excited when I heard that he was getting involved. He's fine. He plays Max, a.k.a. son of TV's Frank. Or no, TV's son of TV's Frank. Which is, interesting. He's Patton Oswald in it.
Yeah. Afterlife alert, you're on.
I've fallen into the 6th level of purgatory and I can't get up.
Are you a glutton, ma'am?
No, I was slothful.
Oh, you belong on the 4th level. One of our aides will be there shortly. Thank you for using Afterlife alert.
I hate to bring this up, but some moments remind me of his character on King of Queens and Super Nerds. Yeah, that's the pilot. But other moments he gets into the groove and he's just, his delivery's good. And
get a bowl haircut, swallow your pride at private school, cower under the covers.
One thing that they did, which I found was funny, is that they expanded on Patton Oswald's Carvel ice cream cake bit. For fans of Patton Oswalt, you may remember that on one of his CDs he had, I think it was a bonus track. It was about the Carvel ice cream and how Fudgy the Whale was also Santa Claus. And then he turned the pan around and he says, that's a leprechaun with a fucked up leg.
Laundry sack.
7 o'clock, lamprey.
8 o'clock, and kids love bag of money.
9 o'clock, there's Santa, who you'll remember is just sideways Fudgy.
Yeah.
It was funny. I mean, I didn't have a belly laugh. It was more like just a quaint little, oh, that's neat, which is more than I ever got out of any of the experiment exchanges.
Now, what happens when you go into your favorite karaoke bar and you want to hear I Want to Know What Love Is by Foreigner?
People vomit?
Felicia Day's fine. She plays the next generation of Forresters. It's like literally trying to recreate the experiment, aka recreate the show.
Movies aren't working fast enough. Jonah is still way too sane. People don't watch TV for sane. They want crackpot housewives, drug-addled chefs, unstable bachelorettes.
Well, lots of shows don't get good until the 5th episode.
Yeah, that's good. That's fine. She does a good job with her delivery. She's no Clayton Forrester or Pearl Forrester, but she may grow on me. Who knows? We'll see.
On down. We can have lunch. Max, make them lunch.
The other Moon 13 crew. That's the new location for the bad guys. Not Castle Forrester or Deep 13. It's Moon 13. Joel returns. I think that's Joel. I gotta look this up. If I'm wrong, then I'll edit this out. But if I'm right, then yeah, Joel returns as the movie technician who, for some reason, movies are now liquid.
Hey, this is RD, your maintenance man. A hose came loose and we had another movie spill. I can show you what's missing. Looks like David Carradine is fighting a giant tentacled monster. Actually, pretty cool. Maybe could have saved the whole movie. Sorry about that.
I think it's pretty. It's an interesting concept. I mean, I think people are actually experimenting with like plasma data, whatever. Or I may be full of bullshit. I may have read that off of Tumblr and it's bullshit. But it's a neat concept. It's basically just like a lump of data in liquid form.
Movie in the hole.
Speaking of which, the original Forrester crew pops in, and not the original, but the second original. Pearl and Bobo and Brain Guy. They pop by sometimes. Pearl actually has a robot clone of herself.
You're my favorite grandchild, co-worker, or mail delivery person.
Yeah, it's great. Thanks.
Oh yeah, they have special guests sometimes. For example, they had one episode I saw. They had Jerry Seinfeld, who was this businessman. He just kind of played a businessman, an evil. I don't even think it was evil. I think he was just a space businessman. Aside from Max, Kinga also has this army of skeleton dudes. They're the skeleton crew. That's right. They're the skeleton crew. That's pretty neat. I've never seen actual minions in a MST3k setting. Now, I've been singing the show's praise, and it's earned all of it. But you might have noticed that I haven't talked about the change in the main cast. They've got new voices for the robots, and they've got a brand new experiment subject, I guess you would say. Jonah Heston.
Okay, so never did I ever breathe oxygen to sustain my existence.
Oh, okay, my turn. Never did I ever have to confront my own mortality.
Oh,
this
good
game
one.
stopped being fun. This is lame.
They actually do a great job, but maybe it's just me, and this is the only drawback of the new series that I can actually think of. And it's kind of a big one. I can't tell who's talking sometimes.
This looks like a state park. I think I can see a swing set back there.
Both Heston and the new Tom Servo, Baron Vaughn, which, yeah, how did you not grow up to be a super villain? They're both fine performers, and they both do very well. It's just that they've got that range in their voice. And it's very similar. And when they're talking, I can't tell who's talking sometimes. Like this.
Harry Potter and the Hendersons?
This one could use a little manscaping, actually. That and some man hedge trimming.
Both those jokes, very funny jokes. Could not tell you who shouted them out. Which, as you can imagine, is kind of a big drawback. The guy who's voicing Crow, I can pretty much pick him out whenever he says something, and not just because his mouthpiece is the one that you're noticed the most in the silhouette. Even going back to my very first episode of MST3k, I didn't know their names, I didn't know their personalities, but I was able to pick out the 3 different voices that I was hearing.
I'll show you.
Guy's smoking a field mouse.
It's especially bad when Tom and Heston do voices. Whenever they do a voice, it shifts, and they already have the same pitch, so I don't know. Again, I can't signal in on which one of the two is talking. I like the jokes, it's just that, like, a third of the time I can't tell who said what. And maybe I'm the only one that's having this problem. But still, it's like very enjoyable to watch. They were able to do sequels, like they did Wizards of the Lost Kingdom, and then the next show was Wizards of the Lost Kingdom 2. I don't feel the dip. And that's my terminology for, like, you're about like a third of the way through the episode, and there's a little bit of where the movie and even the riffing starts to drag a bit. I kind of fade out. I come back towards the end of it because then you have your big climax within the movie, or they get their second wind and they start to, come up with some really funny stuff. I've noticed that ever since the inception of MST3k. And I think that might just, I don't know why, but I haven't gotten that with this. I think it's just, it's either like really good pace in the writing room, or it's because sometimes the movies themselves are really like goofy and interesting, and they're just able to hold my attention and maybe the the cast's attention a little better.
Oh, that scene changed.
So that's a huge step up from any other incarnation of MST3k so far. What else do I know I wanted to say something. Oh! They've got these goofy little act breaks. It feels like I'm watching a TV show, even though I'm not watching a TV show at all, which is something I've noticed different from other things. Like, I've also been watching, like, what was it? Troll Hunters, another little show called Legend Quest, which I know it sounds like really bland, that title, but it's actually really good. Check it out. I don't think they bothered to put in any sort of like act break or fade in, fade out, cut to commercial thing, because that's what they were there for. They were originally put in for the commercials. This one, it's different because they kind of act like there's a commercial. It kind of messes with my head a little bit, because they will come out from the theater, do a little skit, and then go back into the theater. It's like there's no downtime. I would always imagine the commercials would be a point when the denizens of the Satellite of Love would just kind of relax and have a coffee or a smoke or, whatever they wanted to do. Like, Patton Oswalt will come up and he'll, like, give a little summary of what's happened in the movie so far. Or he will explain some new aspect of the show.
Jonah Heston's vehicle, the Backjack, remains permanently chained at the bottom of the Moon 13 elevator shaft. And I've changed all his preset radio stations, too. You're watching MST3k, Moon 13 the Moon.
I'm both confused and yet comforted by this choice of format. One thing I do want to talk about is the puppets, the Crow and Servo puppets. They can move, they've got more moving parts, it's very nice. They couldn't move their arms. Crow's arms were fixed up to his shoulder pad thingies. Servo's were just on slinkies, and they flopped around, and that was funny. So they had to really jerk the head around to make it seem like they were talking. They don't do that this much in this series, and I don't know if it's because the puppets themselves, you can't turn the heads, do that, that. Servo is basically a head on a pole, and you could just twist his head around really fast, and he was able to do these funny whiplash double takes. I haven't seen that so far from this Servo. I don't know if that's just because of the way the puppets are built, or if it's the actual puppetry. I don't know, they just seemed a little bit more lively back then when they did that, as opposed to now when Crow lifts his hand and you see the string. But yeah, again, other than that, great show. I'm looking forward to more, and I highly suggest it. And if you can tell the difference between Heston and Servo, then more power to you.
That looks like a lot of fun. Can I do that?
Sorry, Jonah, the shot changed.
But we...
What do you think?
It stinks.